Hey guys, today I'm going to show you how to make these little drawstring bags. This is the first one that I made, so it's not going to look exactly like this because this one I did without a pattern. I was just kind of winging it, so it turned out bigger than the actual pattern that I finally finished. So this one's bigger, but this is still an example. The top still looks the same. It's got this little ruffle on it. I'm sorry if you can't see very well. It's morning and the sun is kind of behind the house, so it's not, the window's over here. So if you can't see it, I really apologize. I'm trying, you guys. So this was the finished product. Sorry, that was my buttons. This is what it looks like when it's done. Then you can open it up just like this. I've already got a little something in there. And there's the rim. I put this little kind of frilly thing on the ends, and if you kind of pull it apart, you can see that it's just chains and single crochets. But when it's all together like this, it makes it look frilly. These aren't buttons, but I use them as substitutes. And then to close it, you just pull. Alright, so this is what we will be making today. This is my own pattern. I do hope that you guys enjoy it. It is one of my first easiest patterns. So the materials that you will be needing, this is what I used. I'm using a size F or a 3.75mm hook. And you'll be needing a pair of scissors and a sewing needle with an eye big enough to fit your yarn through. The other thing that I'm using, the yarn type is Bernat Softy Baby. The color is lemon. The other color that I'm using for the drawstring is Red Heart Super Saver yarn. The color is soft white. Alright, so let's get started. We're going to make a slip knot. You can make yours however way that you want, but this is how I make my slip knots. Wrap it around my fingers once, pull them out, and once you have this little circle here, need it to be a little bit long, you guys. I forgot to tell you. Need kind of a lengthy tail. And once it's behind the circle, you kind of have this little circle with a line going through it. You want to put your hook right underneath this and then just pull. This is my slip knot. Okay. So you don't want this to be too tight because we're going to be working in this one for the first row. Speaking of which, let's go ahead and start row 1. The first row says chain 3. Okay. 1, 2, and 3. Now, these two chains, the top two chains, are going to count as your first double crochet. The bottom chain, the first one that you made, this chain is going to count as your ring. We're going to be working into this chain when we make the rest of our double crochets. So we have chained 3, and now we're going to put 11 double crochets in the beginning chain. So you will have 12 stitches altogether. So wrap your yarn around, put it through the first chain, 3 loops on your hook, wrap around, pull through the first one, 3 loops on your hook, wrap around, pull through the first 2, you have 2 on your hook, wrap around, pull through 2, you have 1 left, so you have finished that stitch. Okay, so we are going to continue this for 11 times. There's your second one. Wrap around, do another double crochet. There's your third one. Four. Oops, sorry, my cat is tickling my leg. 5. 6. 7. 8. Let's see, this is why you need the lengthy tail, because this gets really loose. This was the beginning chain. Believe it or not, this is what it has turned into. Okay, so let me recount. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 in our beginning chain. 9, 10, and 11. Okay, so now we have to join our ring. And to do that, take your tail and pull this circle tightly together. Now we will be joining with a slip stitch in this top chain. So put your, now let me clarify, I don't use the chain exactly, I use the very top of this stitch here. So we'll be going into this one right here. See how this comes over? We'll be going into this one. I'm sorry, I swear I have a hair or something on my leg that is tickling me, and it's under my table, so I have no idea. Now that we have connected our circle, it's time to start on row 2. Chain 2, and this always counts as your first double crochet. Now the pattern says double crochet into the same space as the chain. So then that one is right here. So we're going to double crochet into the same space. With the chain, you technically have 2 double crochets in the same space. Now the pattern says 2 double crochets in each stitch around. So this whole row, we will be increasing in each stitch. So instead of 12, we should have 24. Alright, wrap around, go into this next stitch, do your double crochet. Alright, wrap around again, go into that same stitch and do a second double crochet. Wrap around, go into the next stitch, do 2 more double crochets. Wrap around, go through, do another 2 double crochets in the same stitch. And you'll just be doing this all the way around until you get back to this stitch right here. It's going to be a little tight to fit into, but this will be your last stitch. This slip stitch that you made the last time. Alright, I will see you back here when you get it all finished. I have finished row 2, so it is time to join in the top stitch here. Join in the top of this stitch, so we're just going to go right in and slip stitch. So pull through that, and then instead of wrapping around again, pull through the second loop. And that is somewhat what it should look like. Alright, now we will begin row 3. We are chaining 2 in the beginning. Of course, this counts as our first double crochet. Next, we will not be going into this stitch because this is actually the one that we came out through. See? You can't see it very well, but this is where our slip stitch started, and it moved all the way to the corner of this stitch. So it looks like we need to go into this stitch, but this is not the stitch that we are going into. We are skipping this. This is the stitch we came out of. The one over here is the stitch we're going into. This one right here. So the pattern says do 2 double crochets into the next stitch. So wrap around, don't go in here, go right in here, and create 2 double crochets. Now the pattern says that we need to repeat this. 1 double crochet in the next stitch, 2 double crochets in the stitch after. So if we're repeating this all the way around, we'll be doing 1 double crochet in the next stitch, and then we'll be doing 2 double crochets into the next. Just like that. Again, 1 double crochet in the first stitch, and 2 double crochets into the second. You'll continue this all the way around, so you will have 12 increases as usual. And when you get back, this little stitch here should be the next one that you come through. Alright, I will see you guys back here when you are finished. I finished that last row, and now we are going to join just like we normally do into this top stitch here. Going to just join right in here with a slip stitch. Okay, so as you can see, we're starting to get a little curved seam here. It is going up this way, and it will almost always look like this diagonal little stitch here. Let me get the other one to show you. Okay, here's the bottom of the bag, and here is the seam on the bag. Right there. Now, I wish I could make the video brighter for you guys. It seems like it's not bright enough. Maybe it's just me, because I am sitting in the window. I'm not sure. But here is our next row. So, row 4, I believe. Yep, row 4. We will chain 2. Now we are going to make 1 double crochet into this next stitch. So 1 double crochet, and then we are going to make 2 double crochets into the next stitch. So 1 double crochet and 2 double crochets into that stitch. Okay, so let's recap here. This chain counts as a double crochet. Then we have 1 double crochet and 2 double crochets in the next stitch. So how do you think this pattern's gonna go? That's right, this row we're going to put 1 double crochet into the next stitch, then 1 double crochet into the stitch after that, and then 2 double crochets into this third stitch. I know I call it the third stitch, but it's not. It helps me remember. Like 1, 2, 3, and on the third one put 2 in. That's what always helps me. So put 1 double crochet in this first stitch, 2 double crochets into the second. Whoops, my yarn came out. Okay, let me try that again. And then 2 into the second one. So 1 and 2. So you're going to do 1, then another 1, and then 2. And you're going to repeat that all the way around until you get back to the end here. Okay, just a reminder, guys, the last stitch of the row that you should be going into is this tiny little one that used to be a slip stitch. It's the slip stitch from the last row. That should be your last one. Okay, and just continue on your row from there and join in this top stitch like usual. Okay guys, next row, chain 2, and remember that all of your finishing stitches should be an increase. With patterns like this, you should always end on an increase, which means 2 double crochets into that last stitch. There should be 12 increases all together all the way around because we started with 12 stitches. We put 2 in each, and that was our increase of 12, and there should be 12 more and 12 more as we go around and around. That's what's making this bigger. Okay, so chain 2 for the beginning of row 5. And then we are going to put 1 double crochet in the next 2 stitches. So we're going to go 1 and then 2. Now we're going to go 2 double crochets into the next stitch. Okay, now this is the part that we have to repeat. We are putting 1 double crochet in the next 3 stitches and then 2 double crochets into that 4th stitch. So we're counting by 4s now. Every 4th stitch we should have an increase. So 1, 1, and 1. Those are the first 3. And now we need to put 2 in this 4th one. So 1 and 2. 1 in the first, 1 in the second, 1 in the third, and 2 into the 4th. 1 in the first, 1 in the second, 1 in the third, 2 into the fourth. Continue that all the way around until you get back to that slip stitch of the last row. Remember, that one should be 2 double crochets. You should always land on your increase, or else you might have messed up. You don't have to redo the whole thing though, because since this is a bag, not like a hat or something, it's still going to look fine. Nobody's going to know that it's too small or too big according to this pattern. It will still look like a bag, so don't worry. Okay guys, I have joined into the top of the first stitch with the slip stitch. So now we're going to be working on rows 6 through 9. I know it sounds like a lot, but it's really not. You're just doing 1 double crochet in each stitch all the way around for 4 rows. Now remember to keep count of your rows. So always start out with your chain 2, go into your next stitch with a double crochet. Oops, my hook went right through that yarn. Gets a little tight when it does that too. Sometimes the threads come apart and catch your hook. It's the most annoying thing in crocheting. Right, so do your double crochets in each stitch around. All the way around. Now, it should start curving upward, kind of like a cup, or a hat, or a bowl, whichever. Alright, after I've made a few, I will show you what exactly it would look like. Okay, so as you can see, it's already kind of curved. That's fine. This part is starting to curl up now. You see the little bill here? I'm going to call it a bill. Now it's starting to just curve up. And it will do that with all 4 of the rows that you make. So, once you're done with those 4 rows, remember this is your first one, I will see you back here. Okay guys, just wanted to show you that your chain is going to look like it's farther away when you go to join in this top part here, but the same applies. Always go into this slip stitch here. That slip stitch from the last row should always be your last stitch, even if you're not increasing. And then I know that this part looks a little bit farther away, but when you join it together, it's going to straighten out. So go right into the top stitch there, do your slip stitch, and the seam should kind of veer off this way after a little while, after it goes up, just like this. This is what it should look like so far. Now you have half of your bag done already. So we are on row 10. Row 10. So always chain 2 when you are about to double crochet. So we want to do, as says the pattern, 1 double crochet in the next 2 stitches, and then 2 together for a decrease. Okay, so 1 single crochet, then another single crochet, now 2 together. So wrap around go through your next stitch, pull through, 3 loops on your hook, wrap around again, pull through, and do not finish. We want to wrap around, go through the next stitch, wrap around, pull through, 4 loops on your hook, wrap around, pull through the first 2. Okay, now there's 2 half double crochets on your hook. These 3 loops go all the way through. This is a decrease. These 2 double crochets are now connected through 1 stitch at the top. So we are going to repeat this part. 1 double crochet in the next 3 stitches. So 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to put 2 together again. So wrap around, pull through the next stitch, wrap around, pull through 2. Now we stop. Wrap around, go through the next stitch, wrap around, pull through, 4 loops on your hook, wrap around, pull through 2. Now you have 2 half double crochets and then your other stitch from the last, and now we pull through all 3. And that is how you connect 2 double crochets. Now we are taking away stitches, so you should have 12 decreases here. Wrap around, 1 double crochet, another double crochet, a 3rd double crochet, and now we put 2 together for a decrease. One more time, wrap around, go through to do 1 double crochet, through the next, 1 double crochet, and the next, 1 double crochet, and the next is 2 together. So only do half, go through, do half of the other, then go through all 3. Alright, you will be doing that all the way around until you get back here. You should end on a decrease. So your stitches, this one here and then the slip stitch from the last row, these 2 should be the ones that you are crocheting together. And then you will join right up here as usual. So continue on until you are finished with row 10.
Alright, I've finished row 10. So go ahead and join and chain 2 like usual. For row 11, we're just going to be doing 1 double crochet in each stitch around. We don't want to decrease too quickly. We want this, see, like when we decrease this way, it was going out more like a circle, right? Now we want the bag to go up, kind of like a triangle, until we get to the width that we want. So in this one, we're just going to chain 2, do 1 double crochet in each stitch around. So just quickly go through, do your double crochets in each stitch until you reach the end of your row. And I'll meet you back here when you're done.
Okay, so that is the end of row 12. Okay, so now we are going to row 13. So chain 2 and put 1 double crochet in each stitch around, just like the row before the previous one. And you'll be doing this all the way around. I'm sorry, I know that the quality of this video isn't exactly the best. I'm still not sure why. I'm sitting right next to the window. Let me see if I can... Maybe this is better for you guys. I don't know. Hope so. Alright, so just keep doing your one double crochet in each stitch around for this whole row. And once you are finished, I will meet you back here. Okay, I have finished row 13. So here's what we're going to do for rows 14 and 15, and don't worry, there's only 3 rows left, and then your bag will be finished with the crocheting, and you can add your buttons and the drawstring. Okay, so here's what we're going to be doing. For rows 14 and 15, the next 2 rows, just chain 1, and this works the same way, but chain 1, and we'll be single crocheting in each stitch around for 2 rows. So instead of wrapping your yarn over, you'll just be going into each stitch like this with single crochets. Now, if you don't know how to do a single crochet, you should probably look that up. You go into the stitch without wrapping around for your hook, wrap around and pull through that stitch, wrap around, pull through both loops on your hook. Takes much less time, and it is much smaller than the double crochet. You don't have these little holy things here. So once you're done with the 2 rows of single crochets, and join in the stitch above the slip stitch just like you would for the double crochet, and the last stitch that you go into should be that slip stitch of the first round. So I will see you when you get finished with those 2 rows. Alright, there are my 2 rows of single crochets. Now this will be the last row of the project. Row 16, after you have slip stitched to end your last row, you need to chain 3. So 1, 2, 3. Now you've got this kind of long chain here. So now just go into the next stitch and single crochet. You will do this all the way around to create the fringe on the top. So again, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, go into the next stitch and single crochet. Chain 3, into the next stitch, single crochet. Chain 3, go into the next stitch, and single crochet. If you don't like the fringe at the top, you can just simply single crochet in each stitch one more time, or you can go ahead and finish off your work. But I would suggest doing at least 1 or 2 more rows of single crochets if you don't want this fringe on the top. 1, 2, 3, next stitch, single crochet. 1, 2, 3, next stitch, single crochet. 1, 2, 3, next stitch, single crochet. 1, 2, 3, next stitch, and single crochet. And now you will do this all the way around, and once you get to the end, I will show you how to join and finish off. Okay, so here is close to the end of my work. I only have 2 stitches left, which is this open stitch here and the slip stitch from the last row where this chain is coming off. So after the last single crochet that you did, you are going to want to just chain 3, go into this next stitch, single crochet, and as for the slip stitch of the last row, just chain 3 more and slip stitch again into that slip stitch, because this is where we're going to be finishing off. Oops, messed up my yarn again. This yarn is very thin and these tiny little strings will come undone easily just like those. But life goes on, I suppose. So slip stitch into the slip stitch of the last row where the first chain 3 is coming out. And now chain 1, and this is where we're going to finish off. This chain 1, just keep pulling on your yarn until you have about 2 or 3 inches to cut off, and take your scissors and just cut the thread, or your yarn rather. Now just pull tightly on the knot on this tail here to make sure that the knot stays, and you are done. You can tell that the seam is there, but it's not that bad. Okay, there's the bag. Now you want to take this string here, thread your needle with it, and we're going to hide it inside the bag. Now how we do that is these rows of single crochets will be perfect to hide the tail into. So take the string, and if you want to kind of connect these to make it look like they're more connected right here, then you can. See, I've connected mine a little bit better. So now just take your yarn and put it through this little strip here. We want these to go into the middle, somewhere in the middle of these stitches. And just keep going right through there, and when you think you have hid it enough, just pull it through. Alright, so it should look something like this, and you can't even tell that it's there. So you're going to give it a small tug, snip at that tail, and then stretch it out some more to make sure that it's hid inside of these stitches. So it shouldn't be coming out. Alright. You can hide this tail, but I at least suggest that you knot it on the inside. You don't have to hide it if you don't want to, since it is on the inside. Nobody's really going to see it. But if you do want to hide it, just kind of play ring around the rosy here. Go around this center circle and hide it inside just like this. And again, when you think you have hid it well enough, you can knot it. You don't have to. If you hid the whole thing, then it shouldn't be coming undone. Let me make my yarn a little bit longer on this side. There we go. This is how I knot mine. It's not as complicated as it looks. And hide it a little bit more. Now, just snip that tail. Give it a little tug. And it's invisible. Now, I'm going to show you how to make the drawstring. So you will need 2 buttons or 2 button substitutes. Pick anywhere on your bag to start sewing it in. I always pick the seam just because it's an easy place to start, but you don't have to start there. Inside these single crochets here, or you can use the double crochets down at the bottom of the single crochets if that will be easier for you, but I like to use the center of the single crochets. You will insert your needle and just kind of weave back and forth between these stitches. Now, if you can find a good starting point, there we go. It should flow pretty easily once you start. Just kind of zigzag through. Alright, so there is a lot of string here. So just leave that and kind of put your hand in here like this. Take the shorter one and just pull. You can stretch it out if you need to, but we need these to be almost the same length, if not the same length. Alright, this will do, and you can cut it if you still can't get it the right size. Okay, so that will do. So now here's what we need to do. Oh, look at all that sunlight. Just kind of pull it through. Doesn't have to be a certain length right now. Put it on as far up as you would like it to go. Now, go through it again. Make sure that you're wrapping it around. Go through it again. Maybe one more time. Depends on if you feel comfortable with it. Alright, and now take the string off of your needle. And now we're just going to tie it. Knot it a couple times, so alright, one more time just to be safe, and there's one. You can cut this if you want, but I wouldn't recommend cutting it too short, if at all, because you want this to stay on. Alright, so next that was easy. Actually wanted to cooperate with me. Alright, so next we will be doing the other one. Put it on to about the same length as this one. Alright, so there's one. Alright, do that a couple times and take it off. Now you just want to tie it like you did before. Maybe one more time, just to be on the safe side. If you don't want to, that's fine. And there. You should have your buttons or your button substitutes like mine sewed on just like this. And now, to see if it works, just grab hold and pull. There's mine. And it works just fine. Alright. I hope that you enjoyed the tutorial. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Please give this video a thumbs up. And I will see you in whatever I make next. Bye guys. Have a good day.